18,500. That is how many cars one of America's most advanced factories built last year. It was designed to build 150,000. Almost 90% of it sits idle. And right now, the largest private car maker in China is looking at that empty American factory the way a chess player looks at an unguarded square. Washington spent years building a wall to keep Chinese cars out. Someone in China just found a door worth $1.3 billion. This is how they did it, and why the American company screaming loudest about the Chinese threat is quietly sitting at the table with them. Start with what Washington built, because you cannot understand the loophole without understanding the wall. An electric car shipped from China to an American port pays a 100% tariff. In plain English, a $30,000 car becomes a $60,000 car before it leaves the dock, dead on arrival. Then came the second layer. New rules ban Chinese connected car software starting with 2027 models, and Chinese hardware by 2030. Translation: even if a Chinese car swam past the tariff, its own electronics would make it illegal. 2 walls, one for the car, one for its brain. Politicians from both parties shook hands and called the market sealed. There was just one problem. The wall was designed to stop cars crossing the ocean. Nobody asked what happens if the cars never have to cross it. Ridgeville, South Carolina. 2018. Volvo opens its first American factory, and the state celebrates like it won the lottery. Over 10 years, the investment grows to $1.3 billion. Capacity for 150,000 cars a year. Then reality arrives. The first car built there is the S60 sedan. It launches exactly when Americans stop buying sedans. 6 years later, it is dead. The plant retools for 2 electric models, the Volvo EX90 and the Polestar 3. Both sell slowly. Result, last year, 18,500 cars rolled out of a building made for 150,000, roughly 12%. Imagine a restaurant with 100 tables serving 12 customers a night. That is Ridgeville. An underused factory is not just embarrassing. It bleeds money every single day. And Volvo has another problem stacked on top. About 95% of the cars it sells in America are imported. In an era when imports are exactly what Washington punishes, Volvo needs that factory full, desperately. Now, who owns Volvo? Hold that question. It is the entire story. Volvo is not Swedish. Not anymore. Since 2010, Volvo belongs to Geely, the Chinese giant that sold just over 3 million vehicles last year and also owns Polestar and Lotus. Read that again. A Chinese group already owns an American car factory. Legally. Quietly. It has for years. And here is the move. In January, at the big tech show in Las Vegas, Geely executives said out loud what Detroit feared. They are actively evaluating an entry into the American market, with a decision expected within 2 to 3 years. The brands they mentioned are Zeekr and Lynk and Combi Chinese designs, popular in Europe. Impossible to import here because of the tariff. Impossible to import, not impossible to build. Because a car assembled in South Carolina by American workers is on paper an American-made car. The tariff never touches it. The wall was built to stop ships. This plan does not use ships. Volvo's own chief executive has said he is open to building a vehicle from the Chinese sister brands at that plant. And Geely's chairman, Li Shufu, went further. He announced the company will stop building new factories entirely. Instead, it will fill the plants it already controls around the world. If that sounds theoretical, look at Europe, because they already ran this exact play there. When the European Union slapped tariffs on Chinese-built electric cars, Geely moved production of one Volvo model from China to its factory in Belgium. Tariff avoided. Wall defeated. That was last year. South Carolina is not an experiment. It is the sequel. Let me be honest about what I think, because this deserves an opinion. This is not cheating. This is a company doing exactly what the rules allow, faster than the people who wrote the rules can react. If the loophole offends anyone in Washington, they left it there. Quick question for the comments because I genuinely want to know where you stand. A Chinese-designed car assembled in South Carolina by American workers earning American wages. Would you buy it? Yes or no? Tell me below. Now for the part that makes this story uncomfortable. The loudest voice warning America about Chinese car makers is Jim Farley, the boss of Ford. He has said openly that if Chinese manufacturers get full access to global markets, they could put everyone else out of business. Strong words, clear enemy. So explain this. In February, delegations from Ford and Geely met in Michigan and in China. The topic? Letting Geely use Ford's underused factory capacity in Europe to build Geely vehicles. The company warning you about the shark is negotiating to rent the shark a room. And Ford is not alone. More than 100 Chinese automakers, suppliers, and auto tech companies already operate inside the United States. BYD builds buses in California. CATL, the Chinese battery giant, licensed its technology to Ford for a battery plant in Michigan. The wall everyone talks about is not a wall. It is a fence with gates, and the gates are busy. Why would American companies do this? Because the math is brutal. Factories half empty, electric car demand softer than promised, development costs exploding. A partner with cash and world-class technology knocks on the door, and suddenly principles get flexible. Detroit is not stupid. Detroit is scared, and scared companies make deals. So the plan exists, the factory exists, the precedent exists. Here is what it means outside the boardrooms. For South Carolina, it could mean the difference between a dying plant and a full one. 12% utilization does not keep shifts running forever. Chinese models on that line would mean American jobs building them. That is the paradox. Nobody wants to say out loud. The Chinese invasion, if it comes, arrives creating American employment. For car prices, it means pressure. Zeekr and Lynk & Co. compete in Europe on technology and price. If versions of them are built here, tariff-free, every American brand selling a $50,000 electric car has a problem. And for Detroit, it means the clock is running. Because there is a version of this story we have already lived. In the 1980s, Japanese brands were the invaders. Politicians raged, tariff threats flew. So Toyota and Honda built factories in Kentucky and Ohio, hired Americans, and today nobody calls a Camry a foreign car. I keep coming back to that. The playbook Geely is holding is not Chinese. It is Japanese, translated 40 years later. Is it the same though? That is where honest people disagree. Japan was an ally. The new rules about Chinese software exist because Washington considers connected cars a security question, not just a trade question. And those software rules are the one wall the loophole does not solve. A Zeekr built in South Carolina still cannot ship with restricted Chinese systems from model year 2027. Geely would need American software, American data handling, possibly American batteries. Expensive, slow. But notice what Geely did not say at any point this year. It never said impossible. So here is where the story truly stands. Nothing is signed. The decision window is open until roughly 2029. Volvo's shareholders may resist. Washington may slam the door with new rules written specifically for this move. Or, 2 years from now, the first Chinese brand car built on American soil rolls off a line in South Carolina, and the wall becomes a museum piece. An unguarded square, a player patient enough to wait, and a government that thinks the game is already won. Was the wall ever real, or was it theater? You tell me. And if you think Detroit's biggest threat is the one arriving from outside, you are looking the wrong way. One American giant is already dismantling itself from within, brand by brand, and its own dealers saw it coming first. That is the next video.